Hello, I'm David DeCosmo, and I'd like to welcome you to a brand new program here on ECTV. This is ECTV Live. The concept is to come to you from the ECTV studios in downtown Scranton and bring you subject matter of interest to our entire community in Lackawanna and Luzerne counties. Our host for this regular Monday noontime program will be a man that you certainly recognize from television. He was the man who actually premiered the Law and You series on WYOU television many years ago. Since that time, he's gone from being a well-known attorney to a well-known and respected member of the Lackawanna County Bar. He is Judge Tom Munley. And Judge, this is going to be your program. I'll be helping out with producing and helping you out here on the first show. But why don't you tell us about our premiere episode of ECTV Live?
David, I'm really excited because ECTV, first of all, what a beautiful name, ECTV Live. It's a great name to have because ECTV has done wonders for Northeast Pennsylvania. And all of the workers here, John Darcy, Mark Migliori, they deserve so much credit for what they did for this station. And it's wonderful. ECTV Live, I'm going to be every Monday at 12 o'clock doing a live show. We're already starting. We had people before looking in, but David, I couldn't ask for a better co-host to be here for the first show than Dave DeCosmo, who worked with me for several years at WIU. Derry Bird is in our audience. Derry Bird worked with me also. What a cast we have, David. And our first guest for ECTV Live, and I'm proud that you're here, Mari Potis from the Scranton Chamber of Commerce. She's going to talk to us, David, about The Office, the TV show The Office, which put us on the map.
Absolutely.
What else can you do in Scranton, Pennsylvania than talk about The Office when it's on television?
And we should probably mention then that in addition to the three of us sitting here, we've got some folks looking over our shoulder, not just through the window, but standing in the background. Now, they won't be saying very much, but they are actually characters from the Office TV series.
Right, and David, that's wonderful. And someday I hope to get Derry Bird on camera, if we can get Derry Bird. Kristen Dreisbaugh, also from the Chamber of Commerce. Mari, she works with you. She's also present in our audience. But Mari, let me ask you, I want to introduce Mari Potis to the audience. Mari, thank you for coming. I know you're active with the Chamber. You do a great job. I've heard your name mentioned many times. And also I want to tell the viewing audience, she's Judge Vito Girallo's niece, and Judge Vito Girallo is one of my best friends in the whole world.
Yes, he is. You're absolutely right.
So tell me something about The Office, Mari. You have you brought a lot of items with you, a lot of paraphernalia.
Basically, I cleaned out a couple shelves in my office is all I really did to come over and set up for this show. But I've been working with The Office since before the pilot, and basically all I did was answer my phone one day. They were setting up a business, for a pilot episode of a show, and they needed a membership plaque of the Scranton Chamber World. So one thing led to another, and I became the official liaison for authentication for the show because they wanted to use as much Scranton as possible. And it's kind of twofold because, one, we could put all of our real businesses on national TV, and, two, it saves the show money than paying for, name brands that are out there, because if they do placement, that costs the show money. So for a business to give us menus, to give us flyers, it's free. It's great win-win for us, for the city of Scranton, but it makes for a better TV show. And after season 1 and after season 2, it became a thing with the show. Everything had to be authentic. And so we go as authentic as possible, right down to the garbage that is used on the show.
Who would ever think, David and Mari, that The Office, because so many TV shows fail. They last a couple weeks or a couple months, and then you never hear from them again. The Office ended up the #1 show in the country.
Well, that is true. The first year, which we did the pilot, and I believe it was 6 episodes. I could be wrong. I've done so many episodes, I lose track. But I really didn't know if it was going to get picked up after that, and it did, season 2. And I'll tell you, my job was hard. Oops, I'm hitting my microphone. Going around town, I had to sell this show to everyone, including my boss, Austin Burke, the mayor of Scranton, Chris Doherty, and my big thing was this could be the next Seinfeld. Did I know back then it was going to be in the Seinfeld time slot and an Emmy Award-winning show. It's just absolutely brilliant and so wonderful for the city. But it was, touch and go at first. But when season 2 won the Emmy, that just took it to a whole new level, and that's when we got the Thursday night time slot, and that's gold. 9 o'clock Thursday nights, that's gold.
Sure. Do you know why they actually picked Scranton as the theme spot for their program?
Well, to my understanding, and I have met Greg Daniels and everyone on the cast and crew, and his explanation is when he was young, he had received a Valentine from the Paper Magic Group, was on the back, you know, their trademark, made in Scranton. So when writing the show, the demographics of Scranton also sunk very nicely into having New York City as their corporate office. We're 2 hours from everything here in Scranton. It was beautiful, but basically the Valentine is what he had remembered.
And they insisted then on this authenticity.
They still do today. Thank goodness we're on hiatus because the past couple weeks have been very, very demanding for me.
Well, Maury, how often do they contact you? The show, of course, has millions and millions of viewers. All of the stars on this show, they're becoming famous because of this show.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nobody ever heard of them before.
Absolutely.
They're making their own movies, and people are going to the movies. But how often do they contact you to do something or present them with something that they might need about Scranton?
When the scripts come out, and they get scripts in pieces, okay? It's not like one whole script, like I have a script sitting there. They don't have the one whole script and it's handed. I might have the art department call me, the transportation department. They might have got the first couple pages of a script. Oh, we need this, and we need this. So it's not just one person. I mean, it could be the producers call me with an idea, or verifying, fact-checking, the writer's assistants. They might be calling me to fact-check information before they actually write it into a script. They've written scripts blank, and then call me, you know, after a point, okay, we need a business name to fill in there. So it could be a constant thing. Some weeks, the last 2 weeks were extremely, extremely demanding. Thank goodness I have such wonderful members of my chamber and the businesses here in Scranton. But I go to my membership first, and they really help me out. Waste management, for instance, John Hambrose, huge help. I'm like, I really don't want to go take pictures of garbage because they wanted authentic garbage. They weren't happy with the garbage episode, with the green screen they used. And John saved my life, and it was a very busy time for me. So we needed to get pictures of the dump, and they wanted to make sure it was as real as possible. Even though the episode aired, they're going back and changing it for the DVD release because they didn't like the way the green screen looks. So they're gonna play with that footage. So something like that. But you know, they were calling me about that, and I might have had the prop department calling me about this episode, because also you run into problems with Steve Carell. He's a mega superstar right now.
He's a mega star.
Huge. I mean, he's got 2 movies advertising right now and commercials. So it's very hard to get him on set. When they get him on set, they might have to film him in for 2 or 3 episodes. So they'll shoot everything they can of the episodes without him, and then they have to, when they get him there for a week, okay, boom, we're going to do this and this and this. So we could be working on 2 or 3 scripts at a time. That's why hiatus for them, it's like, oh, they all go on vacation for a couple weeks, but I really do get a vacation now. Usually the end of June, they're going to get back to me, and we'll start it all up with our prop drop and everything like that again.
How much turnaround time are you given? Let's say that for instance, you have a mug sitting on the table here, which is something we would see on the program. Now, at one point or another, someone from the program called you and said, we need a Dunder Mifflin mug, or let's say a mug from the Chamber of Commerce. When they call you, how much turnaround time would you have to get that item to them?
Oh, it's usually hours. FedEx is, bottom line, my best friend, and it's not just FedEx overnight. It has to be the earliest delivery. They literally will give me hours up until, the most time I've ever had is probably less than 2 days. It's Hollywood. They know.
That's right, it's Hollywood.
They need it, and they need to make sure they have to get it in hand, make sure it's what they have, make sure I send enough of it. You can't just send one anything. It doesn't work that way. You need multiples. If they want a mug, they want 4 mugs, because that's a prop. And if it breaks, you have to have an exact replacement. Anything happens to that. So it can get very tedious, and then you ask a business, well, you know, can I have this? And it might be a costly thing I'm requesting. Most times it's not, but okay, and I also need 3 of them. So it could be very demanding. You kind of got to negotiate a lot with people, and then I do a lot of praying that it actually makes on the show, because a lot of times in editing, it could get edited out.
I could see, David, that Marty has learned a lot about television
Yes,
since the office started. As you know, myself and you and Derry Bird, we've been in it for a long time, but you're learning the nuts and bolts of television.
Oh,
But for our viewing audience, where is this show actually filmed?
The show is filmed in Van Nuys, California.
Were you ever there yourself?
I was.
Why don't you tell us about
I
that?
was on the set. I was invited several times by the executive producer. So like I said, I work with everyone. And my husband and I were out in California, so we went down to LA. It's a little north of LA, about 20-minute drive. So we went up and visit the set. Actually, it was the Fun Run episode, which was the first episode, I think season 5. I'm probably wrong. But it was incredible to see Steve Carell in action because he's crazy, he's fun. He's the most humble man on the show, though.
Is
most
that right?
incredible person in
So
Hollywood.
he doesn't have an attitude.
No, and
That's
you would,
wonderful to
you
know.
would be surprised. He's just so nice, and some of them, I pulled them out of
That's
hair and
right.
makeup to meet me. Of course, I'm a nobody from Scranton, but
Well, to us, you're somebody, but
yeah, but it was really interesting, and he was so great. But to see him film, and I don't know, you're probably not familiar with the episode, but he hits Meredith with his car. They must have did 50-some takes, and just every time he jumped out of that car, it was something different. So you got to see a lot, and then like you're standing there, and Jenna Fisher's standing out. You don't even realize all of a sudden the entire cast is around us, and it's like wow, it was so surreal because it's not a secure lockdown. It's not inside Universal Studios. I would compare it, anyone local, as if you're driving through Mid-Valley Industrial Park, and all of a sudden at the cul-de-sac, they're filming a TV show. And here you have Rainn Wilson driving in and Steve Carell driving out, and it's really crazy. They don't shut it down to film the street shots, and it was very interesting to see how it all works. It
See,
really
I
is.
do watch, and I understand that actually he wound up saving her life by hitting her with the car.
He saved-
Long story, but that's the way it
He
works
did
out.
save her life. It was very interesting to watch, and I will get back out there this season.
Marty, it had to be so exciting just to be there. Because I know the world of television, and David, you know this, and Derry Bird knows this. Like, you could be so exhausted. I used to work a full day when I went down to WYOU to film my show every day. I did it every 5 nights a week for
Wow.
many years. But I would be so exhausted, and then when I went to the show, bango, I woke right up. And that's how you had to feel when you were on that set.
You do have, it's exhilarating, I guess is probably the word I would use. I mean, we get there whatever time in the morning, like I wasn't on a schedule, and we walk in, and I almost drove right into Steve Carell because I didn't know where to park. Of
Right.
course, I'm driving in California, just praying I'm finding the place. And to be there, and then it's like, okay, it's lunch, and they have their big lunch thing, and we're, my husband and I are just sitting among everyone, and I was a little bit more interested in the crew members and the producers that I work with, that I had the daily interaction with. The stars are very nice to meet, but there was a lot of other things that we were still doing out there, a little bit of work. We were getting some work details in. I was actually promoting the office convention at the time on behalf of the committee. So I had little gifts for all the actors and stuff like that. So I actually wound up working on there, which it was still okay. It was a fun day, but I definitely can't wait to go back and see everyone again.
Some of them have come here, haven't they?
Oh, they have. They were in for the office convention, many of them. Steve has not been here. John hasn't been here other than when he filmed the opening credits. But Steve told me himself he cannot wait to get to Scranton. We're working on that. We almost had something going for this past St. Patrick's Day parade. A lot of work went into that, and it just didn't come through. But we did have some crew members here for the parade. I had them over by the Radisson. Gene Hickey let us use his big RV. It was great. So we're hoping next year, it'll be the 50th anniversary of the parade. Huge acknowledgement. They realize they really need to identify with the parade. So we're hoping we're going to see them here next year. It's something Greg wants to do, but that is the one way we're going to get Steve here. And he definitely
Well,
wants
Marty,
to get to
make
Scranton.
sure that he saves a half hour to appear on our show. That's going to be very important.
We'll have to keep his agent away.
Right. Since we did a premiere on The Office, we have to have Steve Carell
Well, it would
on
be
it.
great if we could have him in here.
Yeah.
Now, when we see props such as we have on the table here, those are really tertiary items. They're in the background of scenes, usually, things like that. But I've seen, I do watch the program, and I've seen video from Cooper's Seafood Restaurant, for
Yes.
instance. How do you work out getting, they don't send a crew in to shoot that, do they?
Oh, they do send,
they do?
yeah, I get to oversee that too. I have all these extra jobs I get to do. The Cooper's episode was a lot of fun. The producers called me, okay, Mara, if we send someone in, Can you oversee it? And basically, here's what we want. So they wanted a business scene in Cooper's. So I basically called, half my board of directors, said, okay, you need to go to lunch on this day at Cooper's, and we're going to be filming. I had to have everybody in the wheel room. We had them sign a disclaimer. Cousin Elaine Girales shows up uninvited, but of course I get her in. And they actually, I think she made the DVD cut because they loved my cousin Elaine Girales, like right in there. And it was fun. It was great. So I oversaw that. We did the airport. They'll send someone in from New York or Connecticut. And basically I just clear, like that's one thing I have to do. I have to clear every place. So, if they ever wanted to use ECTV on the show, I would have to have a release signed, by everything.
So
there.
anyone appearing in that scene would have to sign a release.
Right, so everyone in the Cooper's episode I had to have cleared. So I collected all those clearance, and we just, the photographer or the videographer, he just went around and he was just filming everybody and everything, zooming in on people and checking out the food. And even though Cooper's doesn't do a birthday thing, there was Dan Santinello from Fidelity Bank. It was his birthday, so I made them sing because we needed a birthday component in there. So like they give me a little bit of script, tell me what they want, tell me what they need. I run all the logistics here so they could just come in and do their job and be done.
For the audience, for the purpose of the audience, Elaine Girallo is your cousin. She's an attorney, a very prominent attorney.
Yes.
And Judge Vito Girallo's daughter.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
we have a connection, myself, Vito. We were born and raised in Jessup. But let me ask you a question about how do you feel that actually you're the contact in all of Northeast Pennsylvania for the office? Now, do they call you on a weekly basis, monthly basis, daily basis?
Hourly basis.
Hourly basis?
It depends.
That's amazing, David. Isn't it what you think?
It depends because, like I said, I work with so many, different people, departments out in California that they don't know. They're all in their trailers or their offices, so they don't know that, props is calling me when it's art calling me or the writer's assistants. And this is, my cell phone. To some people would probably be worth a fortune because everybody, I even have
right.
half the actors' personal cell phone numbers.
And don't ask for a cell phone number because
Don't
you're
ask,
not
it's not
getting
getting
it.
it. But it is, they call me, and a lot of times once their production, they have usually a 2 o'clock production meeting out there. So I could be conferenced into that, which can be very nerve-wracking at times because you have Steve Carell sitting there and Greg Daniels, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're looking at me for facts, like the job fair episode. Huge episode, that was a couple seasons ago, and they were like, okay, here's what we want to do, but they certainly had some demographics wrong. They wanted Pam to be reflecting back to her high school days where she wouldn't have went to Scranton High School, so I used Valley View, which of course, Joe Daly's amazing and Corey Castellani, they whipped everything together, they did a great job replicating it, but then I had to do 28 booths. I needed 28 businesses. And they're like, oh, you have a couple weeks, and then the 2 weeks turned into 2 days. So thank goodness I had a board meeting that Friday, and my Tuesday night I spent on the phone for 3 hours, which literally it was just constant phone calls back and forth. And we pulled it together, and that was great representation of a lot of businesses. Frank Regan Funeral Home gets his name mentioned by Steve Carell, priceless. And he's a huge fan. So it was really
right.
great to see stuff like that, but it could be hourly.
I knew about Valley View because my son's graduated from Valley View. I have a son in Valley View right now, but Joe Daly does a great job, and he was proud of that also. But
Yes.
what has the office done for Scranton? I mean, we're on the map now. Everybody heard. I mean, I've taken trips to Florida. I've taken trips to California. Everybody heard about the office.
Sure.
And they say, oh, you're from Scranton.
Scranton.
Some people say Scranton, some say Scranton. It doesn't matter. We're on the map.
It is. I know my own experience. It's funny. People will be like, "Oh, you're from Scranton," and I've even had somebody say to me, "This was so funny. Oh, do you know Maury Potis from the Scranton Chamber?" I'm like, "I am." It's so funny. I'm like, "I am Maury Potis," but you do become a celebrity when you're out of this town and you're from this town. Carry Scranton Times with you through an airport. It's like you have 20 new friends.
Right.
But it has done
That's
a lot.
amazing.
We're hip now. It's really cool to be from Scranton, where we were on the map as a coal mining town and whatever else we might have had, but this is fresh, this is new. It's a great time to be part of Scranton, anything Scranton. We do have the office, we have the Yankees minor league. Like, you add those components, the first casino in Pennsylvania is right here. So when you build it all together, it's a really hot thing, and the TV show has made us very cool.
Mark, I love this town. That's why I didn't leave. I love this town. I lived here my whole life. I'm going to die here, and I have no plans of moving to sunny California or sunny Florida. Right here in Scranton is where I want to be. And it's a great place.
It is.
And when this show premiered, I was so excited You know, up on Music Street, the top of Music Street, they show, I think that's the top of Music Street, where they have the sign showing they're coming to Scranton.
Welcome to Scranton. And it's amazing, since those opening credits, so much has changed.
Right.
And even doing the show, it's like we had to replace so many things because of the way our area has changed. The welcome signs, well, having it in the mall, that's brilliant, because of course now it's the tourist attraction. Every time I have anyone in from the show, we take them to the mall. But of course Jim Walsh is like, he's priceless when he's like helps me with everything with the show, because there's a lot I can't get done. I have a real job too, but Jim and his team do an amazing job helping us out. So having the welcome sign there is just brilliant.
This is the welcome sign as the opening credits for the
Right.
office appear.
Yeah.
You have a driving shot, and to the right you see Welcome to Scranton.
Right.
Now that sign, which was used initially, was moved from that spot, put in the mall.
Right.
Since then they put a new welcome.
They
to
replaced the
Scranton.
welcome sign so that, so people could still go, but every actor who's ever been here has gone to the mall and gotten their picture. Every crew member or producer has gone to get their picture taken, which I think is really great. But I mean, when we started doing this, the Red Barons were, different things. So much has changed. And it's always, you just have to keep everything fresh. And they make sure they're on top of that. They'll call me like in June when they get back on set, and they'll want to know, okay, what major changes have happened that we need to know about, this, that, the other thing. And they want to be as authentic as possible and represent this city in the best way that they can.
Did they mention your name on the office? Has your name ever been
No,
mentioned?
my business cards have been all over it.
Well, I'm gonna call Steve Carell after this and tell him.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. You know what, if I make my way out to California this year, I think you might see me on
Mari,
there.
the judge asked you about the impact of the office on the city of Scranton. Now, do I understand that people come to this city looking for Dunder Mifflin, looking for...
They do. They do. It is amazing.
That's amazing.
The fans of the show, they developed as a web base, because the internet, when they would all be actually working in season 1, they were actually on the computer trying to create a viral buzz about the show. So that's where it started, because they started the webisodes and everything. The Office did. So it's really amazing the fan base there is, because they love coming to this city. I had a woman drive 7 hours to have lunch with me one day. I didn't know she was from Ohio when she asked me if she could have lunch with me. I was like, oh, so where are you from? I'm thinking Kingston, maybe even down the line. She's like, Ohio. And she drug her 4-year-old. I'm like, but just anything to be connected to this city, it's amazing. They love it. The convention fans, they went crazy. They came from what, Australia, I believe, New Zealand. There is people from all over, and the people really are looking for that second convention, and they want to do it again.
Do we not have somebody running tours of
I believe
spots
so.
used in
Yes,
the office?
they did last summer. I'm not sure. Andrea Scahill and a couple others were running those, because they have a fake Dunder Mifflin office, Scranton branch over in the mall on the Stephen Barry's wing. And it was cute, because I actually did the first tour. I was their guest, go figure. And it was, really great. They did have some of the actors come in, the B or C actors on the show. And, it was great, because people will definitely travel anything to be connected to the city, but if they can get, meet one of the actors while they're here, it's brilliant. It really, really is brilliant.
I'm amazed myself, because The Office to me is one of the biggest things that ever happened, because you're right. I remember when I met Mike Tyson, he came to Scranton like 25 years ago, and the article, it was in the New York Post, said, Mike Tyson visits coal cracker region. That's what it said. And it really got me mad. Now I think of The Office and how we've progressed, the city has progressed. And that's why when David and I were talking about this show, we want to promote all the good things that are happening in this city.
There's plenty.
And there's plenty of good things that are happening.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
And
why we're doing this.
The show's contributing, so anytime we can make a, positive impact, like featuring the different things, like the parade. Everybody's heard about Scranton St. Patrick's Day Parade, 3rd largest in the country, and the show really wants to get that out there. They did a really nice job this year hitting St. Patrick's Day in Scranton. I told them they probably need a few more hundred people in that scene, but still, they had a nice crowd effect. And it was really, once we had the crew members here, I had Michael Gallenberg here, who is the head set designer, so he's in charge of the entire set, what it looks like, and Jimmy McDermott. They could not believe. They're like, this is the most fun town. They were like going crazy, except they thought they were going to freeze to death, of course, because it was cold this year. They were very concerned about freezing to death, but You know, so they really want to try to hit those really good things going on. I'm trying to talk them into a St. Ubaldo for next year. You know,
That's my town.
hey, that's my mother's town,
That's
so
my
I
town.
love Jessup.
That's right. That's my
So I'm like, you know, all about St. Ubaldo. Maybe they should do that. And couldn't you see Dwight or Michael running down the street in
That's
a St.
right.
Ubaldo outfit? I mean, come on.
By the way, St. Ubaldo, we get about 40,000 people in for that one day. It's a beautiful,
Beautiful.
weekend in St. Ubaldo, and we just love it, David. It's in May, and maybe we'll get somebody in to do that.
Absolutely. We get people from Gubbio, Italy. Why
Yeah,
can't we
we
get
them
people
all the
in?
way from Gubbio, Italy to come in.
Well, your statement, though, brings up a question as our time gets a little short on this premier live program. I would have to ask, TV shows have a certain life. And typically, a lot of popular shows run about 6 years, which I think The Office would be at that about now. What's the future as you see it? What do we know?
Well, what I do know is Steve's contract length. So, you know, the question is, I mean, he's a mega movie star. You know, they can barely get him on set. They've been having this problem for 2 years now. You know, he's not doing just 1 or 2 movies a year now. He's pushing, you know, pumping out a couple movies a year. So that's the question is, are they going to get Steve after his contract is up? You know, he makes big dollars for a movie. You know, or is NBC going to put up the money, you know, to get him back under contract next year when it expires? So that's really going to be the question, because everybody else, I think, will fall in line. But if you don't have him,
you have to have Steve.
it's like Michael J. Fox, you know,
Right.
in Spin City. You know, once you know, you can only,
Right.
he's the show. He's
That's
the
right.
show.
But that being said, you do have a whole new audience right now
Yes, we do.
because the show is now in syndication.
The syndication has done amazing results for the fan base. I know just this weekend, my best friend, who's, yeah, you do the TV show and that forever, she just conceded to me that she picked it up in syndication and she's a huge fan now. And I could not believe this. My best friend for 36 years finally admits she's a fan of The Office. And I honestly think she didn't watch it because I'm always The Office. But it's amazing how many people have said to me who they didn't watch, now it's in syndication, they do watch.
We're going to get Steve here, mark my words. And we are going to get Mike Tyson here. My brother Joe's one of his best friends. We'll get Mike Tyson
We can get them
also.
here together.
There you go. That could be interesting.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time, Mari, but I want to thank you for being part of our show. This is our first show.
I know.
How do you
how
feel about
exciting.
that?
Oh, I feel so proud.
And although we are on live, we're taping as well. So for those maybe just now catching us live, you'll be able to pick up the entire show on some week reruns through this week at least till we hit the next
Well, I
program.
hope I can get a copy. I'd love to send this to the producers. Don't you think that'd be fun?
Oh, they might enjoy that.
could get Greg
May
here.
they may even see someone who might perhaps fit a role on the show.
There you go.
I see where David was fixing his tie, so he's talking about himself, right? He's not talking about us, Mari.
There you go.
Well, I'm available.
David, you're, and I do want to say this on behalf of David DeCosmo. He's a great reporter. It was an honor to work with him. I started with David, and it was an honor. Dave used to teach me the ropes, I should say. He was there long before I was, but and Derry Bird also. So television is a wonderful thing, and that's why as I said to you, I said to David, we want to get Scranton back on the map. We want people to know positive things are happening.
Absolutely.
Mark Migliore and John Darcy are working hard here at channel ECTV. That's why we're calling this ECTV Live. And we're going to, pretty soon, once the word gets around, we'll get people to watch.
Right.
And then it spreads around after a while. I remember the first time the Today Show opened their window, they didn't have anybody there. Now they have like 5,000 people outside.
And look at the stars we've got standing in our window.
There
But
you
our
go.
time is up, Mari. Thank you so much for joining us
you're welcome.
on
Thank you for having
ECTV
me.
Live. Judge,
Thank
it's
you
your
very
show.
much, David.
Have a
Mari,
good one.
Thank you so much for appearing as our first guest. I won't forget it. And we're going to see you again next week on ECTV Live.
Right.